Is this a joke? The guard's voice, loud and mean, cut through the quiet evening air on October 16, 2025, at 6 p.m. He stood with arms crossed, like a wall in a neat army uniform, blocking the big gate to Sunnyfield Cemetery. His friend, a young guy with a smug grin, stood nearby, nodding. In front of them was Ben Carter. At 84, his back was bent, his hands rough from years of hard work, and his face showed a long, tough life. He wore a plain black suit, worn at the edges but very clean. It was his only suit, saved for special days. He didn't react to the guard's rude words. His eyes, calm and clear, stared at the green hills past the gate, where flags hung low in honor. He stayed quiet, unlike the guard's bold stance. The younger guard stepped forward, his shiny shoes crunching on the gravel path. "Sir, this is a private funeral for General Harris at 7 p.m. Only invited people. Show me your ID or leave." His words felt heavy in this peaceful place, meant to honor heroes. The guard saw only a lost old man, not the living history standing before him, a symbol of the values the cemetery was built for. Things got tense as more cars, long black ones with official plates, pulled up, their passengers looking curiously or sadly at the old man stopped at the gate. The evening light cast long shadows, making the scene feel heavier. Ben Carter just waited. He'd faced worse in his life. The younger guard with a name tag reading Jones sighed loudly, acting annoyed. "Look, sir, I'm busy. The cars are coming soon. You're causing trouble." He pointed down the road. "If you want to visit a grave, the public gate is a mile that way. Move now, or we'll make you." Ben's voice, when he spoke, was soft but strong, like smooth stones in a stream. "I'm here for the general. He'd want me here." The second guard, Private Lee, gave a short, cold laugh. "Sure, you and the general were pals, right? With respect, General Harris was a big leader. He worked with presidents. He didn't know folks without invites." The insult was clear, hidden in polite words. A small group of mourners gathered nearby, watching quietly. They were important army people, serious leaders, and sad family members, all dressed in black. Their whispers buzzed under the guard's sharp voice. Ben felt their stares, pity, irritation, embarrassment. He was used to being ignored, unseen. Most times he didn't mind, but not today, not here, at this sacred place. "My name is Ben Carter," he said calmly, his voice steady. "Just tell them Ben Carter is here." Jones stepped closer, trying to scare him. "Ben Carter, okay. And I'm the defense boss. Names don't matter without papers, old man." He pointed at Ben's chest. "No medals, no ribbons, no proof you served. To me, you're just a regular guy sneaking into a private event." The words stung. No proof of service. Ben's hand moved to his side, feeling the memory of heavy things he'd carried and let go. His proof wasn't shiny pins, but scars in his body and stories in his mind. A young officer, a new lieutenant with a face too young for his rank, walked over from a nearby post, noticing the fuss. "What's the problem, Private?" he asked sharply. "This man," Lee said, pointing at Ben, "won't leave. Says he's a friend of General Harris. No invite, no ID." The lieutenant looked at Ben, eyeing his old suit and scuffed shoes, judging him fast. "Sir, you're messing up a big funeral. Leave now. That's an order." His voice was practiced, trying to sound strong. Ben's patience, deep and wide, was starting to wear thin. "I'm staying," he said simply, firmly, his eyes never leaving the gate. The lieutenant's face turned hard. "Then you're arrested for trespassing and disrupting a ceremony." He nodded to the guards. "Take him away. Cuff him if he fights." As Jones and Lee grabbed Ben's thin arms, the lieutenant noticed something on his jacket. A small, dull piece of metal, tiny and crooked, pinned to the fabric. It looked old and worthless. The lieutenant smirked, flicking it with his finger. What's this? A cheap toy from a candy box? The moment his finger touched the metal, the world changed. The neat lawns of sunny fields faded, replaced by wet mud and heavy rain in a far-off jungle in 1967. The air, once fresh, now smelled of blood and smoke. The mourners' soft whispers turned into yells of hurt men. A young captain, face dirty and scared, was trapped under a fallen tree, his leg bent wrong. That captain was James Harris. He handed a rough piece of metal, still warm, to a young Ben Carter. His bloody hands shook. "Keep this, Ben," Harris gasped, voice tight with pain. "It's not official, but it means more than any medal. It means you were there. You saved us." The vision broke. Ben was back at the gate, the evening sun low at 6:15 p.m. The lieutenant still smirked, unaware. But Ben's face changed, a spark of fire in his eyes. He gently pushed the lieutenant's hand away. "Don't touch it," he said, voice low and serious. Things got intense. The guards, backed by their officer, held Ben's arms tighter. The crowd gasped. The shame was clear, a public insult to a man just wanting to say goodbye to a friend. But not everyone just watched. A young army captain named Evans stood at the back, feeling worried. He'd served overseas and knew the quiet strength of a true veteran. It was in how Ben stood, taking insults without blinking, looking through the chaos. Something was wrong. When the guards grabbed Ben, Captain Evans knew he had to act. He couldn't step in directly. That'd cause big problems. But he could call someone. He pulled out his phone, texting fast. He had the number of Colonel Parker, General Harris's aide for 15 years. He stepped away, hiding the call. "Sir, it's Captain Evans," he said quietly, urgently. Parker sounded busy. "Evans, what?" "We're minutes from the ceremony at 7 p.m. Is the honor guard okay?" "No, sir. It's at the gate. Security's holding an old man trying to get in." Parker sighed. "Why do I care? Let security handle it." "He says he knew the general. His name's Ben Carter." Evans paused, then added, "He's got a small worn pin on his jacket. Looks like shrapnel." Silence hit the phone, loud and heavy. The background noise, radios, papers, stopped. Parker's voice came back, sharp and urgent. "What's his name again?" "Carter, sir. Ben Carter." The call ended. Evans looked up as the guards started pulling Ben toward a security car. He was too late. In a command tent near the ceremony, Colonel Parker stared at his phone, shocked. He slammed it down, face pale. An aide, a young major, looked up. "Sir, you okay?" "Get General Lewis," Parker snapped. "Radio him. Get him off the stand, now." He paced like a trapped animal, mind racing. Ben Carter. General Harris spent years looking for him, wanting to thank him. In his final letter, kept in Parker's desk, Harris wrote, "If Ben Carter comes, give him anything he needs. This country owes him a debt we can't repay." The major returned with a radio. "I've got General Lewis." Parker grabbed it. "General, this is Parker. Code Hero at the gate." "Code Hero is active," the radio hissed. General Lewis, the top officer there, answered, stunned. "Hero? That's impossible." "It's him, sir. The pin, the name. It's Ben Carter, and they're arresting him." Lewis's reply was instant, cold. "Stop everything. Stop the ceremony. I'm coming at 7:15 p.m. At the gate, the young lieutenant enjoyed his win. He'd fixed the problem. He leaned against a stone pillar, watching his men handle Ben, who stood between them, shoulders low, not defeated, but deeply sad. The lieutenant decided to hit harder. He got in Ben's face, voice full of mockery. "Last chance, old man. Walk away with what's left of your pride, or spend General Harris's funeral in a cell. We'll charge you, and suggest a doctor check your mind. A man your age, with your wild stories, you're a risk and a shame." He sneered. "Want to honor him? Do it from jail." The air grew heavy. The lieutenant's words were cruel, a final stab at Ben's dignity. But a low rumble broke the quiet, a sound out of place in the peaceful cemetery. Everyone turned, including the lieutenant. 3 black SUVs sped over the hill, their dark windows shining in the evening light. They weren't slow like funeral cars. They moved fast, like an emergency team. They stopped hard near the gate at 7:20 p.m., tires kicking up dirt. The lieutenant and his guards froze, still holding Ben. Doors opened fast. Out came 6 men in sharp army uniforms, not police. Sergeants, colonels, their chests covered in medals that clicked softly. Colonel Parker was first, his face full of anger. Then General Lewis stepped out, tall and serious, with 4 silver stars on his shoulders. The air felt still. The cemetery's sounds, wind, distant cars, whispers, stopped. Only the general's presence mattered. The lieutenant felt a cold fear. He and his men stood straight, letting go of Ben like he was dangerous. General Lewis didn't look at the lieutenant or guards. His eyes, dark like storm clouds, found Ben Carter. His hard face softened, showing deep respect. He walked slowly, boots clicking on the path. Past the scared lieutenant, past the shocked guards, straight to Ben. He stopped 3 feet away. In the quiet, General Lewis stood tall and raised his hand in a sharp, perfect salute, a sign of huge respect from a top general to an old man in a worn suit. His voice, strong and clear, rang out. "Mr. Carter, it's an honor, sir." The lieutenant, confused, spoke up, stumbling. "General, sir, I'm sorry for the trouble. This man was causing a scene. He had no right to be here." General Lewis turned his head, still saluting, his eyes like ice. "He has more right to be here than you or I ever will, Lieutenant." He faced the silent crowd, hand still raised. "For those who don't know, let me tell you who this is. You see an old man, a regular person. I see a hero. This is Ben Carter. History books don't know him. But to the men of the 5th Special Forces, the 1st Delta Team, and General James Harris, he was a legend called the Guardian." The crowd gasped. The name was a whispered story, a tale old soldiers told. The general's voice grew stronger. "This man went into places no map shows to save men the government gave up on. He wasn't a typical soldier. He was a medic, a pilot, a guide, and when needed, a fighter with unmatched bravery. He never wore a rank, never took a title, and refused every medal. He said his only reward was bringing his team home." The general stepped closer to Ben, eyes wet. In 1967, a helicopter with 12 Green Berets crashed deep in enemy land. One survivor was a young captain, James Harris. For 3 days, they were trapped, outnumbered 10-1, with no hope. But on the 3rd night, one man came, the Guardian. He carried half those men out on his back. Ben Carter, right here, is why James Harris lived to be the great man we honor today. The general pointed to the dull pin on Ben's jacket. "See this medal? You called it junk," he said, glaring at the lieutenant. "This is shrapnel from a bomb that landed near Captain Harris." Ben Carter threw himself over Harris, taking the blast. Harris made that pin himself, calling it the Guardian's Medal. It's the only one ever made, the highest honor he could give. The crowd's pity turned to awe. Soldiers, from privates to colonels, began saluting Ben, one by one. The lieutenant's face went pale. He and his guards hadn't just made a mistake. They'd insulted a legend. General Lewis turned to the lieutenant and guards, his voice low and scary. "You asked for his invite. Every headstone here is his invite." Every flag at half-mast welcomes him. He stepped closer, and they flinched. You wanted medals. His scars show courage your rules can't measure. He carries his bravery in his heart, not his jacket. Your job is security, but your best tool is judgment. You failed badly. You saw a hero and thought he was a problem. His gaze was hard. Report to my aide. Give your names and units. Be at my office in the Pentagon at 6 a.m. tomorrow to learn about respect. Clear? Yes, General, they mumbled, ashamed. Ben Carter, quiet through it all, touched the general's arm. David, he said softly, using his first name. They're just kids doing their job the only way they know. Let it go. The general looked at Ben, his face softening. He nodded. Then Ben faced the lieutenant, his eyes kind, not angry. Son, he said, that uniform doesn't give you respect. It's a symbol, a promise. You earn respect every day by how you treat people. Sometimes the greatest heroes wear no uniform. Remember that. As Ben spoke, a memory came clear. A rough field hospital in 1967, smelling of medicine and pain. Young Ben Carter lay on a cot, his back torn by shrapnel. Beside him sat Captain James Harris, leg in a brace. Harris held a jagged piece of metal from Ben's wounds. They're giving me a medal for that fight, Harris said, voice heavy. But it's yours. I can't give you what the Army will accept, so take this. Never forget the cost. I'll never forget what I owe you. The pin was a story of sacrifice, a bond made in blood. General Lewis walked Ben through the gates, past saluting soldiers and the stunned crowd. He didn't take him to the back, but to the front row, with General Harris's family. They knew the Guardian's stories and hugged Ben, crying, thanking him for giving them decades with their loved one. Ben sat quietly through the 7:30 p.m. service, honoring his friend, his duty done. The gate incident had quick results. The lieutenant and guards weren't kicked out. Ben wouldn't have wanted that. Instead, General Lewis reassigned them and ordered training. He started a new program for security at important sites, teaching soldiers to look beyond appearances, to see the person, not just the uniform. Called the Carter Rule, it became a lesson in humility for new recruits. Months later, in May 2026, the lieutenant, now wiser, worked a quiet checkpoint at a small base. On a rainy Monday at 3:01 p.m., he took a break at a diner nearby. As he stirred his coffee, the doorbell rang. An old man in a plain jacket walked in, shaking off rain. Ben Carter. The lieutenant's heart raced. He watched Ben order coffee and stare out the window, lost in thought. Shame and gratitude fought inside him. Finally he stood, walked to the counter, and placed a $10 bill by Ben's cup. Ben looked up, recognizing him. The lieutenant's voice shook. For the coffee, sir, and for the lesson. Thank you. Ben saw the change in him, the humility. He gave a small smile. Stay safe, son, he said softly. The lieutenant nodded, walked out, leaving the hero to his coffee, a quiet understanding between them. Ben Carter's story teaches us that heroes don't always show their greatness. True valor is quiet, often unseen. His life was full of unseen acts, saving men in jungles, deserts, and mountains, never asking for praise. He grew up poor, joined the Army young, and learned to fix wounds, fly helicopters, and fight when needed. He never cared for medals, only for his team's safety. After the war, he lived simply, working as a mechanic, helping neighbors, never speaking of his past. General Harris never forgot him, searching for years to say one last thank you. Their bond, forged in 1967, was stronger than any medal. The Carter Rule spread across the Army. Soldiers learned to look deeper, to ask questions, to honor the quiet heroes. The lieutenant, changed forever, carried Ben's lesson in his heart. He became a better leader, teaching others to see beyond rules. Ben, now 85, kept living quietly, visiting sunny fields sometimes to remember friends. Each visit, soldiers saluted, knowing the guardian's story. His pin, small and dull, became a symbol of true courage, shared in training camps and mess halls. If this story of quiet bravery moved you, share it with someone who needs it. Honor the humble heroes among us. They walk quietly, but their deeds echo forever.